fight? Should they watch tape on the assignment of fighters they're going to work with so they can kind of more or less know what they're going to be dealing with on that night?
It's a very good question, Dave, and I'll explain to you. We are not like the NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball. We don't have one single entry point that tells us what we're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
What I hate about boxing is you two guys right now.
Right.
If you knew someone influential in boxing, 2 weeks from right now, you could be judging fights, and very shortly after, you could be reffing in some state somewhere, some country somewhere. You're going to fight them? You know, if I was a ref and they brought you on and I was living in a place where I was hardly getting any fights, I got no power against these people. And we see it all the time. We see people that are reffing that shouldn't be reffing. That being said, there are old school ways to look at things, and there are referees that think, I don't want to know nothing about the fighter. I never look at the fighter. I don't want to know nothing. I'm going to deal with what's in front of me. And I'm different than that. Tom Taylor was a great referee, and he did his job in that fight. And the reason I know he did his job is because you got it, Mario. You said you warned him, and everybody knew it was coming. When he took that point, there was no surprise to anybody because he gave him some leeway. He probably warned him 10 times where you guys didn't even hear it. But then he gave him that hard warning to let him know, that's it. I've seen enough. And when he took the point, were you mad at Tom? No. That's what you're supposed to do. So getting back to your question, me, Tom, Russell Mora, Ray Corona, the guys in California, and some good friends of mine in other places, I want to know everything I possibly can about the fighter before I get into the fight. It's information. It's tools in my tool chest. It doesn't mean I'm going to take points or anything right away, but at least I know what I'm dealing with. I could at least address some things in the dressing room before the fight that I'm not going to tolerate. So he's been warned already in the dressing room. A guy who has a tendency, like what you guys don't know is I took this approach for Wilder Fury, and I'm not going to tell you what it was, but I warned both fighters about 2 or 3 things that will not be acceptable to me that night, and they never did any of those things.
Wow, that's great.
And what you don't know is, well, even before the fight, the things we did, but I personally like to know everything I can about the fighter, what I'm dealing with. And our commission, Andy Foster and Mark Relier, the chief inspector, they bless us. They give us information on the fighter that I wish every commission would do. We get this BSI index. We get all of their you can look a lot of this stuff up on BoxRec, but there's also things that you can't look up on BoxRec. And I like to look at, okay, what this guy do in his last 5 fights. Was one guy the up-and-coming champ, and the other guy is the on-his-way-out champ who hasn't won in the last 5 to 8 fights, so he's lost 6 out of the last 10, 3 of them by stoppage. He hasn't fought in this weight class before because he can't make weight, and he's moved up. You know, all these things have a factor in my mind on how long of a rope I'm going to give this guy when he starts getting in trouble. And it's the same thing with if I see him or her doing something repeatedly, and I've seen him do it in other fights, believe me, I'm telling him in the dressing room. The other part of it is that I'll give you a little inside information. Mm-hmm. You go in the dressing room, everybody's trying to get an edge. We go to give pre-fight instructions before each fight. You guys know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. For the fans who don't, it should be pre-fight expectations. We meet with each fighter one-on-one with their chief second. There's a lot more people in the room a lot of times, but it's our time with the chief inspector, who's the only person I want to deal with in the corner, and the fighter. And we tell them what we expect from them and what they can expect from us.
Right.
And when we're done, we usually say, you got any questions? And inevitably, the guys who are nervous or the guys looking for an edge, well, yeah, last fight he fought, he used his head. He's always doing this, blah, blah, blah. And my answer is, listen, that was that fight. That's not going to be acceptable this fight. And now that you've brought it up, I've watched you on your last 3 fights, and you do some excessive holding. That's not going to be accepted tonight. So I turn it back on him to let him know I know about both of you guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it works well for me. It works well for me.
They call it the pop. Remember that? The pop.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's the orgasm of seeing a moment that you've been waiting for. You know, it only comes once in a great while. We only get those moments once in a great while in any type of combat sport.
Back and lands a big Olympic medal. You're the gold medalist for the United States, and then the offers start coming in.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
maybe a Wilter Pro.
Why not?
Jr. making a statement here tonight.